Whilst you are collecting evidence, Charnwood Neighbourhood Housing will be proceeding with your complaint. We take what we call an incremental approach.
The incremental approach is a fancy word for talking about a ladder which we go up in terms of complaints of antisocial behaviour. The first thing that we would do when you make a complaint to us is issue a verbal warning to the person that you're complaining about. So we do that within 5 days of receiving your complaint. There are circumstances where that won't be successful, and what we then do is go up our ladder to the next step, which is a written warning. A written warning does much the same as a verbal warning, but makes it a little bit more official. And we again reiterate to the person causing the problem that their behaviour is not acceptable, and we ask them to stop. If the written warning isn't successful, we then go up to the third step on our ladder, which is a consideration of mediation. Mediation is where we look at bringing in an outside party to talk between yourself and the person that you're complaining about to see if there's some common ground that can be found. Again, mediation is very useful for certain circumstances. The most typical circumstances where there's a clash of lifestyles. So it may be that there's an older person living next door to a brand new tenant who's perhaps 16, 17-year-old, possibly with a young baby. And the learning to understand each other in terms of what's acceptable and what's not can take some time, and trained mediators are on hand therefore to work through that with all parties. If mediation is not appropriate, or we've tried it and we're not getting anywhere, what we will then do is look to go up to our fourth step on our ladder, which is the acceptable behaviour contract. An acceptable behaviour contract, put simply, is a written list of rules that we negotiate with the person causing the problem in terms of what we are asking them not to do. It may be what we're asking them to do, and also what support we will give that person in terms of moderating their behaviour. The acceptable behaviour contract needs monitoring, because there is no point in us writing a set of rules for somebody who sits there and says yes, 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 that's fine, goes away and then doesn't comply. So there's an element of monitoring, and in that monitoring it can range from weekly monitoring to fortnightly monitoring to perhaps monthly monitoring if the person is complying with what's expected of them. There will be circumstances where the acceptable behaviour contract is broken, and what we then need to do is consider our higher level legal interventions, and it's only at this point that we'd consider those legal interventions. So we would then be looking perhaps at an antisocial behaviour injunction, an antisocial behaviour order, or in the as a very last resort, we would be considering possession proceedings, which means evicting that person from their home. There are exceptional circumstances where we will override steps in our ladder, and the most notable ones being where there's a significant risk to your life or to your safety. Obviously, if complaints were made of such a serious nature that we were concerned for your safety, it would seem a little bit ridiculous to go and give a verbal warning to that person.